welcome to this edition of Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. After this long Thanksgiving weekend, nothing better to end it with all the rivalries is talk a little baseball. So I did come back from Dad's house, but I'm back in Winston-Salem and to record this, and it was an enjoyable weekend. What do you think, Dad? You went with the with family, and I went to Mom's house. So all in all, nice visit.
And then I always, whenever you're up here, I always enjoy our time together, and we always seem to find a good place to eat breakfast. And then
yeah, we did.
I mean, I've been having some problems with my neck and my headaches for the last 4 or 5 days, but I still enjoyed Thanksgiving because I got to spend time with my great granddaughter. So
right.
That was pretty cool. So, but anyway, Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays because I like to eat. I mean,
right.
I don't need gifts at Christmas. I enjoy Christmas for the reason you're supposed to enjoy it.
Right.
But I don't need gifts. I like to give gifts, but I don't need to get them. But I enjoy Thanksgiving because I love to eat. I mean, sitting there watching Dallas put 45 on Washington, that wasn't fun. But
right.
Anyway.
Well, for me, but I know not for you.
We'll get to baseball in a minute, but some of those college football games, some of those rivalry games yesterday were awesome. I mean,
right.
I watched a lot of the I flipped back and forth from some of them, but I got stuck on Kentucky and Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the best college games I've seen all year. I mean, they're not two of the greatest teams in the world, but they played one of the best.
Louisville had a pretty good year. I mean, for ACC.
Oh yeah, Louisville only had one loss. Right. Now they got 2 losses, so I mean, no slim chance they had to get to the playoffs is gone. I'm interested to see what the committee does because Florida State doesn't have their quarterback. So if they win next week against Louisville, they're undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're one of the 4 undefeated teams, what do they do? Because if they put them into the playoffs and they have to play Georgia or Michigan, oh my word, it's not going to be pleasant.
Right.
So I mean, to me, if Oregon beats Washington, Texas wins the Big 12, and Georgia beats Alabama, which they should do. I think it ought to be Michigan, Georgia, Texas, and Oregon. That would be my 4. That's just me. Now, what the committee does, they'll probably figure out a way to get Ohio State in it because they usually do. But I mean, that would be my pick. Now we can talk about baseball. I just to let the viewers know. We got. I watch all sports, including golf.
Yeah,
and some both,
I enjoy most sports. I can't say all. I enjoy most as well. And that's why I brought up rivalry weekend. This is always the fun weekend. These games are most time are out of conference games for the most part. It's just for whatever trophy is going on, like Virginia, the Commonwealth Trophy, which they, of course, lost to Tech.
I mean, Virginia Tech slaughtered them, and to be honest about it, I knew that was coming. So I hardly watched 2 minutes. I didn't watch 2 minutes of that game as I knew it was coming. But in a way, I'm happy for Tech. They started out 0-3 or something. They're awful. Now they've gotten 6. They're 6-6, and they're eligible for a bowl. I mean, that doesn't mean a whole lot, but it does if you win the bowl. You get the trophy. But I mean, that coach did a heck of a job getting them near the end of the year. He changed quarterbacks, and that seemed to do the trick.
Right. Well, let's get to what we do the most. I ain't gonna say the best. We do the most. Talk baseball. Me and you talked a little bit about rumors and stuff. The rumor mill is just churning. Every team is up for about every player. It looks like it's not a lot of great players out there for free agency. But there is a lot of rumors. You do have some greats up for trade or talked about a trade. And, I don't know what for the Padres to trade Soto. what the owners come out and said why would they? He was probably him and Tatis was probably their best players going down the stretch that was bringing them back. Like I said, I just think they ran out of games. I think they are so far in the hole, they ran out of games.
They played so bad at the beginning of the year that they shot themselves in the foot. They got nobody to blame but themselves.
I don't see Soto leaving. I guess that's.
Well, they got the owner said he was going to try to sign him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he's got another year on his contract.
Right. They were going to try to sign him to an extension. If I were the owner, I'd hang on to him and see if I could do that.
Right.
Because he's, like you say, he and Tatis and Machado, between those three, you've got some horses, and Bogarts, you've got some horses. They just didn't pull the wagon far enough. I mean, that's all that
they do need to work on their bottom half of their lineup, or maybe the bottom half plays like it did 2 years ago. If they do, then they'll have a decent team, but they need to also pick up a pitcher or two.
Well, the winter meetings will be December 2nd through the 6th.
Right.
I mean, it's the 3rd through the 6th. And there might be something going on there.
Yeah.
If the flu bug doesn't hit.
Yeah. So it has in the past, but it seems like it takes till first of the year for the big free agents. I think a lot of the bigger trades are going to be in the year when players won't re-sign or sign extensions. The big names, at least. We're still seeing every day lower, minor league / major league players getting traded here right now. But
teams are trying to stock up a few pitchers for their possible bullpen, maybe utility infielders and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, let's face it. This is one of those situations where in free agency, a lot of people probably trying to figure out who Ohtani's going to.
Right.
Because if you're one of the people in the running for Ohtani, let's say you're the Cubs and you're in the running, if you don't get him, then you can go to Plan B. But until
that was the latest team I saw,
you can't go to Plan B.
That was the latest team that I saw was the definite signing of Ohtani this past week was the Cubs.
Yeah, well, you hear all that junk.
It seems like every week it's a writer trying to make a name for themselves is what I think it is.
I wouldn't be shocked if he decided to go back to California with Washington as the manager. I would not shock me in the least.
Well, if the best thing that the Angels could do, I know we talked a lot about the Angels, so I don't really want to harp on it this week, is to deal Trout sooner rather than later, so that way the owner could sell the team. And if all that can happen rather quickly and a new owner comes in, I think they could get Ohtani back. But I don't think Washington is the key element. I think it's the owner. So
we'll see, because I mean, other than that, the big deal, it's the Dodgers. I mean, they got to be the front runner. I would think they're the front runner.
Well, this last article is the Cubs.
Well, I mean,
it's crazy. I know.
I'll tell you what, if he's take that bat to Wrigley Field, oh my goodness.
Of course, who
would protect him? You got to have somebody in the lineup to protect you.
Well, they would have re-sign Bellinger.
Maybe if they could. But theoretically, I keep hearing he's almost sure to sign with the Yankees, but who knows?
Right.
I'd love to see him go back to the Cubs.
Yeah, he had a great year last year. Nice, player, whatever, comeback player of the year, whatever. That was a no-brainer. I mean,
speaking of Tatis, he's playing winter ball in the Dominican Republic, and because he missed the first 20 games because he was suspended and hurt.
40 games.
40, yeah. So he's playing winter ball in the Dominican Republic, and he's playing shortstop. He's not playing right field. And he won the Gold Glove in right field last year in San Diego, but he's playing shortstop in the Dominican. He said, that's my position.
See, that's the type of thing that the infighting that we don't hear about that kills teams. Like if he comes back and you got Xander Bogaerts, one of the best shortstops in the league, and you got Tatis, who was an era machine as shortstop, I don't. One of them's got. There's only one guy could play there, and you got.
Well, Tatis had play right field.
Yeah,
I mean, he's going to have
to play second. I mean,
well, see, he could just play shortstop in the Dominican Republic and come back to the Padres knowing he's going to play right field.
Right.
But he's playing shortstop because he said that's his position. Fine, that's your position in the Dominican Republic, son.
Right. Yeah, that's. I haven't heard much else. We're in the quiet time before, like you said, the owners' meetings, hot stove, whatever they call it. That's going to be interesting. That usually kicks off all the deals. And once that first domino falls, which, like you said, is Ohtani, then you really start seeing things move after that. Big trades, things like that. But
because Ohtani's a DH. So if your plan B is to sign somebody else who would make a good DH, like the guy who was the DH, he got it went from Boston to the Dodgers.
Justin Turner?
No.
Oh, for the ball. Oh, JD Martinez.
JD Martinez. He's on the open market, so you can't go out and sign him if you have a shot at Ohtani. You can't sign him till you find out what Ohtani does because you don't want two DHs.
Well, and it's not only that. If Ohtani was asking for normal money, he wouldn't be the biggest domino. But because of his money, he is the biggest domino because you got to put aside. You can't spend that money. If you're seriously going after him, that's money you can't spend until after he signs or you're out.
And he and his agent has let all the teams know that when they negotiate, that it's done in private, and anything that gets leaked, if it gets leaked, that team is out of the running.
Right.
So they want it all private until it's done, until it's a done deal.
And then me and you were talking about the Japanese pitchers. Then you have the big name when Yamamoto doesn't care really where he goes. He just wants the best deal, and he wants to play with another Japanese player. Which I heard that a while back. Cody Senga is his best friend over here. They share an agent, so hopefully the Mets don't screw this up. Sounds like they got the inside.
I think it's between them and the Yankees.
There's a lot of money the Mets already have tied up, and then and then they want to sign. They want to give Pete Alonso an extension. I don't care how much money he has; he doesn't have all of the money. So,
well, I mean, as you can say the same thing about the Yankees. The money they've got tied up in Garrett Cole, in Stanton, in Judge. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of bucks, man. They've got a lot of money tied up in a lot of players. So I don't.
Well, there again, if the rest of their veteran players, the veteran players they have like Rizzo and some of those other guys, they're not playing for free.
No,
I mean,
no, they're not. Last year, with the start of the season, the Mets had the highest salaries. Payroll. They had the highest. Yeah. Then after them, it was the Yankees, and then it was the
Dodgers. After
after them it was the Padres and then the Yankees. So it was the Mets, Padres, and Yankees were the three highest. The Dodgers dropped down because they got rid of some of their money. They got rid of the Turners, and that took a lot of money off the books.
Right. Yeah, it's all interesting. You're always every time my phone goes off and I see the MLB little signia, always wondering what it's going to be. It's fun right now, speculating and guessing. And
have you ever heard of Hudson Haskins?
Mm-mm.
All right, Hudson Haskins. This is the Rule 5 draft, where the teams have to try to protect players in the Rule 5 draft. Hudson Haskins is the number 17 prospect. I'm sorry, the number 17 prospect of the Baltimore Orioles. He's an outfielder, and he's not protected. So if he's picked up by another team, he has to go on the major league roster, and they have to pay them $100,000. Then if they drop him later on, then the team he goes back to has to pay $50,000 back to that team. In other words, if Boston picks this kid up and they keep him for the year and then decide he's not good enough and get rid of him, then the Orioles got to pay $50,000 to $100,000 back to Boston. And then they would get Haskins back. But he's a decent outfielder, but they've already got Santander and Hayes and Mullins under contract. So what are you going to do? I mean,
they're stacked. They got the guy that it's KJ Kajerston or whatever. He's an outfielder. They're stacked in the outfield. That's why people are thinking they're going to be trading for some pitching with some of their minor league talent that they have. Plus, they still have DL Hall, I think is the name of the pitcher that's in the minors are really high on.
Yep.
So if they could get Rodriguez to pitch like he did at the end of the year with DL Hall coming up, what they think of him, and that could be their future 1-2 guys. Plus, they pick up because the veteran guy they got from the Phillies already signed with a year contract with somebody else for an ungodly amount of money. So they're kind of hurting for a veteran pitcher.
Oh, I think Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson.
St. Louis.
Yeah. So, he was okay for him. He was better with Baltimore than he was with Philly the year before. But you kind of want a little veteran leadership with your guys, your pitching staff. And hopefully they'll get that closer back next year.
Well, they said he probably won't play until 25.
Okay.
Because he got his Tommy John after the season was over.
Oh,
they delayed it. They delayed it, and he got his Tommy John, so they said he probably won't pitch until 25.
Okay.
So they've actually made some inquiries about Hader.
Right, that makes sense.
Well, the kid the guy that came in and closed for him after, what's the boy's name? Got hurt. He didn't do bad. I mean, but they need that. That's what hurts them the most. They need a closer.
Well,
they're going to need about 2 more starters.
Right, because they had to move everybody back a spot.
Exactly.
It hurts your 7th, 8th, and 9th when one of them goes down. When your 9th goes down, it hurts 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, I mean you've got to put these. You've got to have a decent bullpen. If you don't have a decent bullpen, I harp on it, but it's the most important part of a team now.
Right. Especially if you want to go on a winning run of a winning streak, which most
that's why I give all the credit in the world to the manager and the coaching staff, especially the pitching coaches in Texas, for what they did with that bullpen, how they turned that thing around.
Right.
And I mean that was just some outstanding coaching. And I mean I can't say enough about.
You can't outroll Texas for the Ohtani stuff too. Their name comes up every once in a while.
Oh yeah, there's another one.
It's like, geez.
Because see, they got another owner that doesn't really worry about the money. He's a billionaire. He doesn't worry about it. So I mean, if they sign Ohtani and put him in that lineup,
looking at a thing right now, Jung-Ho Lee is the Korean baseball player. It's coming out of the KBO.
Right.
League outfielder. He's like going to be one of the youngest players from over there. And I guess what I was watching on MLB is the Korean league is equal to high AA or AA, AAA ball. So, but this guy's batted every year well in the 300s. And
he hits a lot like Ichiro.
Yeah, but he hits with a little bit. Now he's gotten older. He hits with just a little bit more power consistently. But it reminded me a lot. Left-handed hitter, a lot of slap into the opposite field when I was watching highlights. Let's jump in to some Hall of Fame talk. So we had the Hall of Fame announcements for who's eligible this year. Real quickly, the list of the Veterans Committee. Well, previously known as the Veterans Committee, now it's the ERA Committee, which is managing. umpires and executives, right? So we have Cito Gaston, Davey Johnson, Jim Leland, Lou Piniella as managers, Ed Montag and Joe West as umpires, Hank Peters and Bill White as executives. I would not have a problem with any four of those managers, all four of them, to get in. I mean,
they've all accomplished. They've all won championships. They all have longevity, and they all did decent jobs. I mean, I always liked Jim Leland, especially when he was with the Pirates.
Well, Leland, I think he's one of the guys that did it for several teams.
He did Detroit,
yeah, and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That to me that puts him to the top, and I think Cito Gaston should be behind him.
Before they put Joe West in, Before they put Joe West in, somebody better go back and look at his tapes when he was behind the plate.
Well,
the guy had no idea where the strike zone was.
That he's going to get in. He's one of the most celebrated umpires
because he's been there a long time.
Right.
But he was another one. He would call a ball 4 or 5 inches outside a ball and stare at the pitcher, dare him to say anything.
Right.
I mean,
I really hope Davey Johnson gets in for selfish reasons.
Well, I saw Joe West behind the plate one night in Washington, and Gonzalez was pitching. And all he did is he threw a ball practically right down the middle, and Joe West called it a ball, and all he did was shake his head and turn around and face the center field wall and do this. Like, what am I supposed to do? Right. And he turned around, and Joe West threatened to throw him out of the game.
Right. Well, that's the way they all are now. You can't do anything, nothing. It don't matter how the umpires can be as bad as they want to be, and you can't do anything. But I just want to go over that. To me, the man, I'm not really Hank Peters and Bill White. I don't know who they really are.
Well, both of them were general managers and presidents of baseball teams who did pretty. I mean, they did very well lining up talent and stuff like that. But I have a hard time evaluating that because there's so much more that goes into that.
Right.
You don't just sit in an office and pick people. You got scouts, and you got all kinds of.
Peters was a high-ranking executive for the A's, Indians, and Orioles from 65 to 91. He helped construct the A's teams that won the World Series in the 70s.
Oh, in the 70s. Oh, yeah, when they were low. Yeah, right there, that ought to get him in.
And then he was at the helm for Baltimore with the 79 pennant and 83 World Series. All right, let's see. Let's see. Trying to find information on the other guy. I don't see anything for Bill White. But anyway, yeah. So to me, I think Joe West is automatic just because longevity. And I really think Jim Leland and Cito Gaston should get in, but I think all four of those managers should get in.
Well, people forget Cito Gaston was a decent player.
Right. Well, I mean, so was Lou Piniella, and Davey Johnson won't know. I mean, he played a long time. I mean, he wasn't an all-star or nothing, but he played a long time.
Well, he played on that Orioles team that was
right. Yeah, I have a few cards with him on the Orioles. I like Davey Johnson, the person, too. So that sends us to the 26 players on the for
Oh, I read that.
Let's see if I can't get it bigger for you, Dad.
Put it on Word, I'll copy it. I mean, it's just.
Well, we got Todd Helton at the top of the list, who last year had 72.2. So a lot of people think he's pretty much in this year because you got to have 75.
They need 75, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 72.2. He should get 75 this year easily.
So you got Billy Wagner at 68, which this is his 9th year on the ballot. Andrew Jones, Gary Sheffield, Carlos Beltran, A-Rod, who actually had 35.7% last year on his 3rd year. That's kind of surprising, with Manram at 33.2 on his 8th year. Omar Vizquel, who has no love because of personal things.
And one of the best defensive shortstops that ever lived.
And he actually, when you look at his numbers are not bad either. Andy Pettit, which is part of the scandals. Bobby Abreu at 15.4. Jimmy Rollins, 12.9. Mark Burrell at 10.8. Francisco Rodriguez at 10.8. And Torrey Hunter at 6.9. Absolutely no love for a great center fielder, Torrey Hunter, who also did it with 2 teams, the Twins and the Angels. Then your first ballot, guys, Adrian Beltre. Do you think he gets in our first ballot, Adrian Beltre?
No.
I don't either. Joe Mauer, do you think he gets in at all?
Now, just let's stop with Joe Mauer.
Okay.
This is
I'll tell you my problem with Joe Mauer.
Joe Mauer, the problem I have with Joe Mauer is that he, for 4 or 5 years when he was catching, he was the best catcher, one of the best catchers ever.
Yeah,
as far as defense, throwing, calling the game, and hitting with power. He was one of the best ever.
Yeah, he would have worked the first 5 years.
He started getting hurt. After he got the concussion that time, he never was the same player. And they moved him to first base. He still was a decent hitter. But after the first 5 years, he didn't. To me, it wasn't a Hall of Fame career after that.
Right. So to me, if he would have stayed at catcher, yes, it's hard for catchers to get in. But I think his power numbers, he might have broke the home run record.
He might have, because he had tremendous power.
When he went to first, the power didn't. He had the same power, but at first, it's a different position. You look at first basemen have more power. He didn't have this. The same numbers didn't transfer well to going to first. So I don't think he ever gets in unless you like a nice guy that played on one team forever. Chase Utley, he's another one. I just don't think he gets in. I don't think he has the numbers. Longevity, yes. David Wright. I think if he would have played longer, this would have been a slam dunk.
His career was too short.
Right.
Injury, his back ruined him. He was done.
Yeah, he's going to be the hall of very good and nice guys. The guy that should get in because of character, not because of how he played, Bartolo Colon.
Oh, I mean,
the world stopped when he was playing. Everybody watched him.
Oh, yeah.
He's still pitching down wherever
he's 50 years old pitching in Mexico.
So, no, he is playing. He got drafted. In that Dubai league, that 4-team Dubai that they started. He's
is that where he is? I thought he was in Mexico.
He was, but now he's playing in that league.
Oh, he's out there in Dubai making probably $5 million a year pitching.
Yeah, probably $5 million.
I mean, the only thing those people got are oil, and they got oil and money, and that's it.
And time to create sports leagues. Matt Holliday, which I think is a good shot at one day being into the Hall.
Yeah, I like Holliday a lot.
Adrian Gonzalez, another guy.
Now here again, he had several good years and then just fell off a cliff.
Yeah, when he went bad fast. Joey Bats, Jose Batista. I don't think his career warrants him into the Hall of Fame either. See, me and some friends were talking. We're going to go through a period now where there's only going to be 1-2 players getting in,
and that happens. That happens with the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Right.
Baseball Hall of Fame is not the NBA or the NFL where they put everybody and his brother in there.
Right.
I mean, the Baseball Hall of Fame is a bit more selective, and to be quite honest, some of the people they do put in there, I don't agree with.
Right. Jose Reyes.
They can't, I have a problem because if they put an outfielder in there, I see Willie Mays or Hank Aaron or Mickey Mantle.
I do too. I have said I have a problem with a lot of my era players getting in just because they've played a long time. They knew how to keep healthier. They know.
Yeah.
So their numbers reflect how long they were there. I mean, not taking anything away from them. They were great players, but there's a difference to me between great and Hall of Fame.
There's a difference between being Hall of Fame and a very good player.
Yeah, and
Joe Mauer was a great catcher for 5 years, but he never accomplished what Yogi Berra accomplished, or Carlton Fisk, or Pudge, Johnny Bench. He just never did.
Yeah, or Yadi Molina. I think Yadi.
He could have, if he could have stayed healthy, not gotten that concussion and stayed a catcher, he might have.
Right.
But we'll just have to wait and see.
Right.
And you know A-Rod's not going to get in there because he's another steroid dude.
And also the writers don't like him as a human being. So Victor Martinez, because that's my problem with my man Jeff Kent. Victor Martinez, another one, long career. I just don't think it's a Hall of Fame career. James Shields, Brandon Phillips, another all-stars, but not the all-star stars. Because the reason why I started talking about them and you might get in, Adrian Beltre to me, out of that whole list, is the only slam dunk from the first balloters. Adrian Beltre to me. You got Mauer, Utley, Wright, Cologne, Holiday, Gonzalez, Batista, Reyes, Martinez, Shields, and Phillips. To me, Beltre, I don't know if he gets in first ballot. You probably don't. I don't think he does, just because of the history of the.
Don't be surprised if Chase Utley. I mean, the guy hit 275 for his career, which is pretty good for a second baseman. And I believe it was he hit 275.
Let's see. Batting at 275 on base, 358 lifetime with a 465 slug.
He was a good second baseman. So,
and I'm going to throw this out. He has a high WAR, which I can't stand talking about, but he does for a second baseman.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he didn't make it.
But I think he's on the cusp. I don't think he gets in. That's my opinion. Plus, I don't like him. But
well, there you go. I do that too. Sometimes my personal feelings. That's why I told the guys, a couple of the guys at church today were giving me the business because I was singing the praises of Dak Prescott. And I said, man, he's really doing a good job this year. And they said, well, how can you say that about a Dallas player when you're a Washington fan? I said, no, let's get something straight here. I'm a Washington fan, but also I'm a football fan.
Right.
And the last time I looked, he's a quarterback playing for Dallas, but he's a football player.
Yeah.
I said, and the other thing is, it bothers me when certain players, the sports media gets all over them and it's not fair. I mean, in a team sport, it's not always, especially in a sport like football, where it takes 11 guys to do something. Baseball, when they got after A-Rod because he didn't hit in the postseason, that's fine. Get after him. But if you get after a quarterback because his receivers are dropping the football, it's not his fault.
Right.
It's just, or the alignment aren't blocking. I mean, that's not his fault. But the other sports, baseball is more individual, especially when it comes to batting and pitching. So, I mean, when you're out on the mound, there's no 260-pound linebacker coming at you.
Right.
You got to throw strikes. I mean, that's all it is to it.
Right.
And so that's why, to me, in baseball, we can look at these statistics and all that, and it's much more of an individual accomplishment game to me. And that's why I think Chase Utley's got a decent chance of getting in there.
Right. I agree. I don't know if he has a chance, better than most of these guys on this, because I think Adrian Beltre's the no doubt. Then you have, I think, Matt Holliday probably will get in.
Yeah.
And Chase Utley might get in.
Might
The
get
rest,
in. That's
of
fair.
them,
that's fair.
The rest of them, I don't see them. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because at the beginning, I asked you, okay, Todd Helton has 72.2% of the votes. We're thinking he's going to get it this year. Most of the know-it-alls think he's going to get in this year. But my question is, if you have enough new guys that come in that screw that up for him,
right, it might knock him out.
Right, and I don't see that.
I don't see it.
I
don't see it in that list. You just read off all those names. I don't see Willie Mays there anywhere. I mean,
Billy Wagner has 68.1, right?
And Billy Wagner, to me, they've put some relievers in the Hall of Fame that he's better than.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're in the Hall of Fame. I mean, no, is he Mariano Rivera? No, there was only one.
Right.
But he had as good a record as Raleigh Fingers.
Right. Well, then the number 3 guy on that list, Andrew Jones, one of the best center fielders ever.
But again, son, it's the one thing that hurts Dale Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
They were good for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then they weren't. And that's what that hurts these. They want longevity. Baseball wants longevity. That's what.
Well, I think I was hoping they had. He played 17 years.
I think when Andrew Jones was in his prime, he's one of the best center fielders I ever saw.
Well, he batted .254. He had 434 home runs, 1,289 RBI. A lot of the big numbers he's close but not there, right? That they look at. But as a center fielder, you can't look at those numbers the same, right? Not every center fielder is a power hitter. But man, he could play some center field. He can go get them. I think a lot of when I watched him, it looked like he was out of position, so he had to make the great catch because he would just get caught out of position. He plays so shallow, and a guy that's in the top 4 with 55% is Gary Sheffield. I hope he gets in just because I used to love watching Gary Sheffield play.
Well, Gary Sheffield, he probably still has the quickest bat.
It was so violent.
Through the zone, the quickest bat speed through the zone of any of them, and of anybody I've ever seen.
And when I say Gary Sheffield, what kind of batting average do you think he has? Career.
Oh, I don't know, maybe 280?
292.
Woo! That's excellent.
With a 393 on base percentage and a 514 sluggo.
Oh, that's not. There's plenty of guys in the Hall of Fame that don't have that.
509 home runs. That's the 500 number. With 1,676 RBIs. 1,636 runs. I mean, the only reason I could think he's getting held out is the steroid era. That's the only reason.
I never heard anything about him taking them.
Me neither.
But on the other hand, I know he did make some enemies in the press corps.
Well, they're going to look at the WAR, and his WAR is not. I hate that damn term. Wins over replacement is not great.
What does that mean?
It's a number that they come up with generated. And I used to be able to tell you, but to me, it's a bullshit number that they use. And a lot of people live and die by it. I watch a channel that guys talk about it like it's the Bible. It's the unholy truth. And I'm like, who just watches games? I mean, I can sit there and tell you I'd rather have Gary Sheffield come up to the plate in certain situations than other guys on this list.
Oh, yeah.
Or other guys that are in the Hall of Fame. I mean, let's be real. I like Carlos Beltran, but I don't think he was consistent. He's another guy that wasn't consistent with what he did.
Well, isn't Biggio in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
I'd rather have Gary Sheffield at the plate than Biggio. That's right there.
But Biggio, man, won I think Gold Glove in 3 different positions and All-Star.
That's what I'm saying, son.
Yeah.
But when we were talking about up at the plate, I'd rather have Gary Sheffield than him.
Right. Yeah.
Put him in the field, I'd rather have Biggio.
Yeah. I mean,
and
Bagwell's in. Bagwell's in, and he's one I kind of question. Barry Lark. I can go on and on, but which I could be very wrong. When I think of bigger than the game, Gary Sheffield and Andrew Jones fit that bill. A-Rod fits that bill. A-Rod, no matter what, I know he tested, whatever, but guess what? He never missed a game for doing anything wrong. I just find it ridiculous that he's not in.
Well, he's got a personality that kind of rubs people the wrong way too.
Right. Well, when you're the best, and he was the best there for a stretch, that tends to do that to people.
Yeah, Bonds did it.
When you're somebody wanted to argue with me that a certain quarterback was cocky, and I said all quarterbacks are cocky. And he said,
"You're not cocky. You shouldn't play quarterback."
Right. He started arguing with me, and I was like, "The guy's cocky. They all have cockiness. You want your quarterback to have cockiness. You want him to have swagger. If not, he doesn't have the means to be a quarterback." So, I mean, the best players, it's like Bryce Harper, all those guys. They get knocked down for it, but if he's on your team, you love him, and if you play against him, you hate him. That's the mark if the guy's good. But I just wanted to bring that up. I mean, I look at some of these names on this list. I like Jimmy Rollins. I thought he had a very good. I think Omar Vizquel's getting kind of dealt with wrong. I think Manny Ramirez is getting dealt with for how he was off the field and not what he did on the field. Manny being Manny. I mean, but man, that dude could hit.
Yeah, but didn't he hit over 300?
Manny Ramirez, yes, batting average 312. On base percentage 411, slugging 585, 555 home runs, and this is 8th year on the ballot, and he's only got 33.2% vote. To me, that's criminal.
Because he's a flake. I mean,
right? He's Manny being Manny.
He's Manny being Manny, and he was a little wacky, and that's people. They rub people the wrong way.
I mean, he took a cutoff when he was playing outfield.
Yeah. I saw the game.
I was too. It was on
What are you doing?
And then he threw it to the cutoff man.
Well, I'll never forget the game when he was in Boston. He was in left field. And they would get ready to start the game, and everybody went out to the field, and they couldn't see him. And then all of a sudden, where is he? And everybody's looking in the dugout, and he comes to a door in left field. All of a sudden, there he is again, magically showed up. He came through an outfield door. I guess he went to the bathroom. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? That's what makes the game great, though, is those stories. That's what I love about this game. We sat there and watched some of Ken Burns Friday.
Oh yeah.
The stories are what's awesome about this game. The game itself is great, but the stories is what makes it awesome. And I mean, I love characters. That's what makes Bartolo Colon. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? Probably not, but they ought to put a special section for clowns, and he would make it great, and everybody would love it. Show videos of his greatest plays, him hitting a home run.
I remember when he pitched for the Nationals.
Yeah. I mean, he's awesome. He was great for the game. He's still a great ambassador for the game. And I think Manny could be used the same way. Manny's a flake, but the difference between him and Puig was Manny was there for the team when Puig was not.
Right. But
so
Puig was never the player. Manny was.
Never. Right. Exactly. But, the capabilities for Manny, when I look at those numbers, I'm like, why is he not a 8th year on the ballot? That's criminal. So what are they going to do? Wait for him to get to the era committee like they're doing with so many of these other players? because I didn't see anything for him in there, but the rest of those guys in that era are full. It's the whole third floor of the Hall of Fame is about that era, about players from that era. And I'm just like, it kind of drives me a little crazy. We've talked about it before. But, that another thing that makes the all season interesting, I know me and my friends will be talking about it. Especially when a vote happens and guys don't get in, we'll be like, but it'll be one or two players getting in, and that's it. Because it's tough. The writers are tough. They're homers. You got to treat them with respect, or they don't vote for you. Everybody think there's a big group that thinks Beltre is a first ballot Hall of Famer. The history of voting just doesn't run that course. Even though it probably should be. I don't know why who would get mad if he was. So, another great player of the sport that did it the right way, I guess. But any closing statements there before we head out?
No, I mean, it's just the next big deal is going to be a week after next. Because next Friday is December 1st.
Right.
Already, and the following week is when they have the big meeting. In those winter meetings and stuff happens. Yeah. Hopefully, it won't be the stomach flu this time, like it was in the general manager's meeting. But
no doubt.
But a lot of times, usually there is some trades and some free agent signings. But
and if it's not, it's groundwork laid for those.
Yeah,
that future.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I love the speculation, though. I mean, I love
the Ohtani thing is going to take. I bet you it won't be till February we find out where Ohtani's going.
The plan is now. This is what Ohtani and his agent are saying. The plan is they would like to be signed by the first of the year. So that would give you the month.
That's usually the target for free agents, because they usually in the owners or the GMs would like to have their bulk of their roster set by the first of the year. So going into spring training, they can start doing trades and stuff to get what they need.
And who's to say if some team makes a real good presentation and he thinks he can win a world's championship, he may sign for less money with that team.
Yeah.
So
and less money for him would be a lottery winner.
Yeah. I mean, Pittsburgh might offer him $600 million, and the Dodgers offer him $450, and he'll take the $450 because he knows he's not going to win a champ. He might as well stay in where he is.
Right. And it's not cold playing in Anaheim like it is in Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I just have fun watching this season and enjoy other sports like we do, and let us know your thoughts on the free agent market or what you think the Hall of Fame is, with how you think the Hall of Fame should go, I should say, down below. And until next time, like, share, tell a friend. And again, thank everybody for taking the time to watch us. I know this time of year, we don't have a lot of time. And for everyone that takes time to watch any of this programming, I appreciate it. My dad appreciates it. And we'll see you on the next one.